So you might be wondering, why did the Dodgers DFA James Paxton with all of the pitching injuries? I mean, one thing you need is more pitching, right? And so it was kind of a surprise. I think it took us all by surprise. James Paxton got DFA'd today by the Dodgers. Let's talk about it. So D-Mac was all over this a couple days ago. He sent out a tweet that after his 18th start, of which he had last night, there was a $1 million escalator, and then there's another $1 million escalator after the 20th start. So the Dodgers are going to have to pay him another $1 million, not after the next start, but after the start after that. So let's look at it from the Dodgers' perspective. But before we do, let's explain exactly what DFA means. DFA stands for designate for assignment. So when you designate a player for assignment, what you're attempting to do is take them off the 26-man roster, so then you can put somebody else on the active roster like the Dodgers did today with River Ryan. But if a player doesn't have any minor league options, you can't do that unless you outright release them or designate them for assignment. So once you designate them for assignment, then there's a period of about a week where teams can trade for that player. And then if there's no trade to be made, then that player goes on the waiver wire and teams bid on that player. The last dibs goes to the worst record of last year. So whenever there's a bidding war on that player, whoever had the worst record last year gets the last chance at that player. If that player then clears waivers at that point, if they have enough major league time, like Alan Trejo, for instance, he had enough major league time, so will James Paxton. Instead of accepting the minor league assignment, they can choose free agency. Here's the problem that James Paxton has. The underlying metrics have not been good all year. He's not throwing strikes. He has not been efficient. He's not eating innings. And so what type of team, if you're a building team, is James Paxton the pitcher you want to go get to build your team? If you are a World Series caliber team like the Dodgers are just showing you that he's not the pitcher that they want on a world championship team. So what type of team would want a James Paxton, on top of the fact that after the second start he makes for you, you're going to have to pay him $1 million. So from that perspective of it, I just don't see that he would be traded for. And if no team is willing to trade for that player, then they're not going to pick him up on waivers either, because then you have to keep him on your 26-man roster, or you have to put him on your 26-man roster or return him. And then if they don't trade for him or pick him up in waivers, then why in the world would they pick him up in free agency if that player declares free agency? So, hey, maybe the leverage that James Paxton has is he could choose free agency instead of the assignment. But again, if nobody trades for him, nobody picks him up on the waiver wire, why would he have success in the free agency market? So the Dodgers have all the leverage in this situation and stand to have probably a decent chance to keep James Paxton in their system like they did Nabil Crismat. Remember that? They DFA'd Nabil Crismat, and they actually kept him. Now, the second time he moved on back to the Padres. But the Dodgers have a chance here to keep James Paxton, but in a setting to where they can send him down to the minor leagues. That's why they DFA'd him. Based on, the escalator, I think that played a part in it. And then also the fact that, hey, you needed to pitch River Ryan. You need to see what you got right before the trade deadline. I mean, these other clubs need to see River Ryan with their own eyes at the major league level. No doubt about that. So when you put all of that into the oven and you bake it, it comes out that this makes total sense, that James Paxton gets put in a situation to where, hey, if he does go somewhere else, then you go pick up another Brent Honeywell. And just from an underlying metrics perspective, I don't think you're going to lose a whole lot. I think there's other guys you could pick up on the waiver wire that could equal what James Paxton has given you. Then if you get to keep him, then you get to send him in the minor leagues and you get to add depth to your pitching system. So I think it's a win-win for the Dodgers in this scenario, although it did kind of come out of the blue. Once you actually analyze the situation, it didn't come out of the blue in the sense that we knew that they had to create a 26-man roster spot, and then first of all, a 40-man roster spot for River Ryan. So that part of it didn't come out of the blue, but it did come out of the blue that it was James Paxton.